This is Africa, the cradle of mankind's birth, where powerful kingdoms arose with stories of worth, exemplary leaders, their legacy told. Nkrumah, Mandela, their spirits bold. Let courage and dreams unite as one for a brighter tomorrow where greatness is spun. In this beautiful, colorful, and friendly domain, greatness awaits, where hopes shall not wane, where tales of triumph weave a tapestry. Welcome to Today in African History.
Salute to the black woman. Sometimes, a lot of times, we don't know what we really have as African Americans, as Africans, as black people all over the world. The woman who I'm going to feature today was the first female self-made millionaire. Not black millionaire, not the first female black millionaire, the first female self-made millionaire of all races, and she was black. Let's get into the story of Madam C.J. Walker. She was born Sarah Breedlove on this day, December 23rd, 1867. She was an African-American entrepreneur, philanthropist, and political and social activist. She is recorded as the first female self-made millionaire in the United States of America in the Guinness Book of World Records. Multiple sources mention that although other women like Mary Ellen Pleasant might have been the first, the wealth is not well documented. Walker made her fortune by developing and marketing a line of cosmetics and hair care products for black women through the business she founded, Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing Company. She became known also for her philanthropy and activism. She made financial donations to numerous organizations such as the NAACP and became a patron of the arts. Villa Lewaro, Walker's lavish estate in Irvington, New York, served as a social gathering place for the African American community. At the time of her death, in 1919, she was considered the wealthiest African-American businesswoman and wealthiest self-made black woman in America. Sarah Breedlove was born on this day, December 23rd, 1867, close to Delta, Louisiana. Her parents were Owen and Minerva Anderson Breedlove. She had 5 siblings, who included an older sister, Lavinia, and 4 brothers, Alexander, James, Solomon, and Owen Jr. Robert W. Birney, a primarily of European ancestry, enslaved her older siblings on his Madison Parish plantation. Sarah was the first child in a family born into freedom after President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Her mother died in 1872 when she was just 5 years old, likely from cholera. An epidemic traveled with river passengers up the Mississippi, reaching Tennessee and related areas in 1873. Her father remarried but died sadly a year later. Orphaned at the age of 7, Sarah moved to Vicksburg, Mississippi at the age of 10, where she lived with Lavinia and her brother-in-law, Jesse Powell. She started working as a child as a domestic servant. She says, I had little or no opportunity when I started out in life, having been left an orphan and being without mother or father since I was 7 years of age. She often recounted. She also recounted that she had only 3 months of formal education, which she learned during Sunday school literacy lessons at the church she attended during her earlier years. Let's talk a bit about her personal life, so her marriage and family. In 1882, at the tender age of 14, Sarah married Moses McWilliams, whose age was unknown, to escape abuse from her brother-in-law, Jesse Powell. Sarah and Moses had one daughter, Alelia, who was born on the 6th of June, 1885. When Moses died in 1887, Sarah was 20 and Lelia was 2. Sarah remarried in 1894, but left her second husband, John Davis, around 1903. In January of 1906, I beg your pardon, Sarah married Charles Joseph Walker, a newspaper advertising salesman she had known in St. Louis, Missouri. Through this marriage, she became known as Madam C.J. Walker. So she took her husband's name, Charles Joseph. The couple divorced in 1912. Charles died in 1926. So this is where it all turns around for Madam C.J. Walker. So 1888 was the year she and her daughter moved to St. Louis, where 3 of her brothers lived. Sarah found work as a laundress, earning barely more than $1 a day. She was determined to make enough money to provide her daughter with formal education. Guys, I'm going to stop here now. Something just struck me now. She was earning barely more than $1 a day. Now, certain studies have come to light that most people on the African continent, perhaps not most people, but the average salary on the African continent currently is about $1 a day. That is the earning of the average African on the African continent today in 2023. Guys, think about it. So this was 120 something years ago, 1888, in 2023. Nearly 130 years ago, or over 130 years ago, Madam C.J. Walker, in her first job, her first proper job as an adult, was earning barely $1 a day in the United States of America. So this is $1 a day 130 something years ago, compared to $1 a day today in 2023. Think about the difference. Think about the opportunities of the African continent. I hope the penny has dropped for some of you who are listening to this right now. So during the 1880s, she lived in a community where ragtime music was developed. She sang at St. Paul African Methodist Episcopal Church and started to yearn for an educated life as she watched the community of women at her church. Sarah suffered severe dandruff and other scalp ailments, including baldness due to skin disorders and the application of harsh products to cleanse hair and wash clothes. Other contributing factors to her hair loss included poor diet, illnesses, and infrequent bathing and hair washing during the time when most Americans lacked indoor plumbing, central heating, and electricity. Again, guys, I'm going to pause here. Now, look at the combination. She had all these problems with her skin, with her hair falling out, and she looked for a solution. When that solution was found, people started buying her products. Obviously, I'm going to carry on with the story, but think again about the opportunities on the African continent. I've mentioned in my previous videos that Africa as a whole is the wealthiest continent in terms of natural resources. Africa is also the youngest continent in terms of the demographics. Most people are 19 years. So the average age, I'm going to rephrase that, the average age on the African continent is 19. So there's a lot of energy. There's cheap labor as well. So if you went into the African continent, it's not cheap labor for you and I to take advantage of the people there, but to pay them a fair wage, which a lot of Africans from the diaspora are doing now. They've set up businesses on the African continent. They're paying better than those who were born and bred on the African continent because they feel that they should not, especially African Americans, that they shouldn't treat their own brothers and sisters the way their ancestors were treated. So there are quite a number of them on the African continent now who are employers of labor and are treating their employees the way any human being should be treated, paying them a fair wage so that they can cater comfortably for the families and be dedicated to the job that they're doing. So that's a hint, guys. I'm going to carry on with the story of Madam C.J. Walker. So she, in the year 1904, went to the World's Fair in St. Louis, Missouri. So initially, Sarah learned about hair care from her brothers who were barbers in St. Louis. Around the time of the Louisiana Purchase Exposition, she became a commission agent selling products for Annie Malone, an African-American hair care entrepreneur millionaire and owner of the Poro Company. Now it says she was a millionaire. This was probably a man. So, like I said earlier, she was the first female millionaire in America who was verified as a millionaire. So there may have been one or two others, but those people were not verified. Now we don't know whether they were black or white or, American Indian. I'm going to carry on. Sales at the exposition were a disappointment since the African American community was largely ignored. No surprises there. While working for Malone, who would later become Walker's largest rival in the hair care industry, Sarah began to take her new knowledge and develop her own product line. In July of 1905, when she was 37 years old, Sarah and her daughter moved to Denver, Colorado, where she continued to sell products for Malone and develop her own hair care business. A controversy developed between Annie Malone and Sarah. Malone accused Sarah of stealing her formula, a mixture of petroleum jelly and sulfur that had been in use for 100 years. Following her marriage to Charles Walker in 1906, Sarah became known as Madam C.J. Walker. She marketed herself as an independent hairdresser and retailer of cosmetic creams. Madame was adopted from women pioneers of the French beauty industry. Her husband was also a business partner, provided advice on advertising and promotion. Sarah sold her products door to door, teaching other Black women how to groom and style their hair. In the year 1906, Madam C.J. Walker put her daughter in charge of the mail order operation in Denver, while she and her husband traveled throughout the southern and eastern United States to expand the business. In the year 1908, Walker and her husband relocated to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where they opened a beauty parlor and established Lilia College to train hair culturists. As an advocate of Black women's economic independence, she opened training programs in the Walker system for her national network of licensed sales agents who earned healthy commissions. After Madam C.J. Walker closed the business in Denver in 1907, Alelia, her daughter, joined her in Pittsburgh. In the year 1910, when Walker established a new base in Indianapolis, Alelia ran the day-to-day operations in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Alelia also persuaded her mother to establish an office and beauty salon in New York City's growing Harlem neighborhood. In 1913, it became a center of African American culture. In 1910, Walker relocated her business to Indianapolis, Indiana, where she established the headquarters for the Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing Company. She initially purchased a house and factory at 60 Northwest Street. Walker later built a factory, hair salon, and beauty school to train her sales agents, and added a laboratory to help with research. She also assembled a staff that included Freeman Ransom, Robert Lee Brockenberg, Alice Kelly, and Marjorie Joyner, among others, to assist in managing the growing company. Many of her company's employees, including those in key management and staff positions, were women. Walker's method of grooming was designated and designed to promote hair growth, to condition the scalp through the use of hair products. The system included shampoo or pomade stated to help hair grow, strenuous brushing, and applying iron combs to hair. The method claimed to make lackluster and brittle hair become soft and luxuriant. Walker's product line had several competitors. Similar products were produced in Europe and manufactured by other companies in the United States, which included her major rivals Annie Turnbull Malone's Poro system, from which she derived her original formula, and later Sarah Spencer Washington's Apex system. Between 1911 and 1919, during the height of her career, Walker and her company employed several thousand women in sales as sales agents for its products. By 1917, the company claimed to have trained nearly 20,000 women, while some sources have written that the women dressed in a characteristic uniform of white shirts and black skirts and carried black satchels. There is nothing in the Walker Beauty School manual that verifies that. Others have written the agents focused on door-to-door sales as they visited houses around the United States and in the Caribbean, offering Walker hair pomade and other products packaged in tin containers carrying her image. But the more common scenario is that the Walker beauty culturists demonstrated their products in their homes and beauty salons because they needed a source of water to be able to show how the products worked. Walker understood the power of advertising and brand awareness. Heavy advertising, primarily in African American newspapers and magazines, in addition to Walker's frequent travels to promote her products, helped make Walker and her products well known in the United States. In addition, training in sales and grooming, Walker showed other Black women how to budget, build their own businesses, and encouraged them to become financially independent. In 1917, inspired by the model of the National Association of Colored Women, Walker began organizing her sales agents into state and local clubs. The result was the establishment of the National Beauty Culturist and Benevolent Association of Madam C.J. Walker Agents, which was a predecessor to the Madam C.J. Walker Beauty Culturist Union of America. This woman was a very, very hardworking and ambitious woman. I'm going to carry on. Activism and philanthropy. As Walker's health and notoriety increased, she became more vocal about her views. In 1912, Walker addressed an annual gathering of the National Negro Business League, the NNBL, from the convention floor, where she declared, "I am a woman who came from the cotton fields of the South. From there, I was promoted to the washtub. From there, I was promoted to the kitchen. And from there, I promoted myself into the business of manufacturing hair goods and preparations. I have built my own factory on my own ground." The following year, she addressed convention goers from the podium as a keynote speaker. She helped raise funds to establish a branch of the Young Men's Christian Association in Indianapolis's Black community, pledging $1,000 to the building fund for Senate Avenue YMCA. Walker also contributed scholarship funds to the Tuskegee Institute. Other beneficiaries included Indianapolis's Flannel House and Bethel African Methodist and Episcopal Church, Mary McLeod Bethune's Daytona Education and Industrial School for Negro Girls, which later became Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach, Florida, the Palmer Memorial Institute in North Carolina, and the Haynes Normal and Industrial Institute in Georgia. Walker was also a patron of the arts. About the year 1913, Walker's daughter Alelia moved to a new townhouse in Harlem, and in 1916, Walker joined her in New York, leaving the day-to-day operation of a company to her managing team in Indianapolis. Walker commissioned Vetner Tandy, the first licensed black architect in New York City and a founding member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, to design her house in Irvington on Hudson, New York. Walker intended for Villa Lewaro, which cost $250,000 to build, to become a gathering place for community leaders and to inspire other African Americans to pursue their dreams. She moved into the house in May of 1918 and hosted an opening event to honor Emmett J. Scott, at the time the Assistant Secretary for Negro Affairs of the United States Department of War. Walker became more involved in political matters after her move to New York. She delivered lectures on political, economic, and social issues at conventions sponsored by powerful black institutions. Her friends and associates included Booker T. Washington, Mary McLeod Bethune, and W.E.B. Du Bois. During World War I, Walker was a leader in the Circle for Negro War Relief and advocated for the establishment of a training camp for Black Army officers. In 1917, she joined the Executive Committee of New York chapter of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, which organized the silent protest parade on New York City's Fifth Avenue. The public demonstration drew more than 8,000 African Americans to protest a riot in East St. Louis that killed 39 African Americans. Also, from 1917 until her death, she was a member of the Committee of Management of the Harlem Young Women's Christian Association, the YWCA, influencing development of training in beauty skills to young women by the organization. Profits from this business significantly impacted Walker's contributions to her political and philanthropic interests. In 1918, the National Association of Colored Women's Clubs, the NAACWC, honored Walker for making the largest individual contribution to help preserve Frederick Douglass's Anacostia House. Before her death in 1919, Walker pledged $5,000, the equivalent of about $77,700 in today's money, to the NAACP's anti-lynching fund. At the time, it was the largest single gift from an individual that the NAACP had ever received. Walker bequeathed nearly $100,000 to orphanages, institutions, and individuals. Her will directed 2/3 of future net profits of her estate to charity. What a woman. Sadly, Madam C.J. Walker died on the 25th of May, 1919, from kidney failure and complications of hypertension at the age of just 51. Walker's remains are interred at Woodlawn Cemetery in the Bronx in New York City. What a life of this amazing, kind-hearted, hardworking woman, Madam C.J. Walker. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thanks for joining us today for another edition of Today in African History. Now, this is a story of an amazing woman, a woman who was orphaned by the age of 7 and rose to become America's first female millionaire. If she can do it, with all the encumbrances, all the things that held her back, all the disadvantages, her parents were enslaved. She was the first of her siblings to be born after the Emancipation Proclamation. So she was the first in her family to be free by the laws of the United States of America. Yes, there were still people who were enslaved in other states of America, but she took advantage of what she had and worked hard and worked smart and became the first female millionaire verified in the United States of America. The opportunities on the African continent. I've said this so many times on my video. This is the time to invest in Africa. If you also plan to move to the African continent as an African American, African British person, Black person, wherever you are in the world, you've never been to Africa before, perhaps your parents, great-grandparents, great-grandparents emigrated from Africa or were brought in from Africa to the United States, to Bahamas, to Jamaica, to the United Kingdom as slaves. This is his time to come back home and invest on the African continent. Provide opportunities for people who are not as fortunate as you are. Let's all grow together. Let's push forward as Africans. Let's do the best for Mother Africa. This is the time. The weather is amazing. The people are friendly. The earth of Africa is rich. It's just beckoning on you to come back home and invest and utilize its resources. Africa is for Africans. You know, we are not racist. We're just saying that this is our home and we won't let anyone come from somewhere else and mistreat us as Africans on our soil, take our wealth, treat us badly, and leave. Africa is for you and for me. Welcome back home. Come and invest in Africa. Thanks for joining us today, December 23rd. See you tomorrow, December 24th, not December 44th, but December 24th. Don't forget to like the video if you do like what we're sharing here. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your notification bell, and we shall see you bright and early tomorrow. Hasta la vista.